Microsoft has tremendous security. It is so good. And I have a bridge in Montana to sell you. Thanks for checking out this video by Switch to Linux. If you like this type of content, subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. And today we will be talking about this fun feature that Microsoft said. A feature to decrypt all of your passwords and store them in plain text in the memory from the time your system boots up. Wait, what? Yeah, turns out. This, of course, has to do with storing your passwords in the browser, which is already a bad idea. But some security researchers were looking at how well this works and was looking at all of the Chromium-based browsers. We'll give Firefox a pass here. He didn't say if he was testing those. He's looking at Chrome and Chromium and Brave and Vivaldi and all these, and he's finding all of these passwords that were stored in the browser's password manager were stored encrypted and were only decrypted on stringent protocols as soon as they were requested by the site. Not Microsoft. He gets to Edge and he discovers something. He discovers that Edge, which, by the way, likes to auto start when you turn your computer on so that, it loads faster when you click the button. Microsoft's old thing it used to do, right? Back in the Windows 95 days, it would just auto start applications so that when you clicked it, it instantly loaded. So it's fast. And, well, the fact it also tries to push all of your passwords into their highly secure password manager in the browser anyway, it's just bothering you about that. And what ends up happening here is we have a situation where all of these passwords on the system startup, which starts up Edge, decrypts all of your passwords and stores them in plain text in the memory. So the security researcher reached out to Microsoft to say, hey, look at this vulnerability I discovered. And Microsoft said, no, this is a feature. It makes logging into sites faster. What? Yeah, that's what's going on. Microsoft says Edge's plain text password behavior is by design. And this is interesting because it says that by design, that the behavior speeds up sign-ins and autofills, and attackers would already need a compromised machine to access the RAM anyway. So literally, we're just going to make it infinitely worse across the board. What is going on? This is crazy. In fact, this reminds me of? Way back in the 90s, a comedian, and I have no idea who it was commenting on reading a box of Pop-Tarts. And at that time in the 90s, and I verified it at that time that comedy skit came out in the 90s, Pop-Tarts had microwave directions. And it said to open up the Pop-Tarts and put them in the microwave for 2 seconds. That's the instructions. So let's think about that for a very brief moment. If you need to have, and as the comedian skit said, if you need to save so much time as to have 2 seconds to cook your breakfast, maybe you should reevaluate your life priorities. And I got to thinking about this. And by the way, you can check your Pop-Tarts now. I think it's up to 5 seconds now on your Pop-Tarts. Let me know in the comments below if you have some Pop-Tarts nearby. Look at the microwave directions. I think it's 5 seconds now. They're really stretching that cooking time for Pop-Tarts now. I think we have less radioactive microwaves these days. But anyway, back to the content here. They're like, hey, it's faster if you do this. Faster? I don't even have auto fill in for my KeePass XC for my websites, and I have the browser extension, the KeePass XC database that sits there open up when I'm working. The browser extension goes in. It says, "Hey, we have the password for this. Would you like to fill it in?" There's one button to click. Microsoft is trying to save that one little click of a button to make logging in faster by having all the passwords decrypted in the memory. That is a security snafu. Yet, when pushed back about this is a feature to allow you to log in faster because, 5 seconds versus 2 seconds is just a groundbreaking loss of time in all reality. So the researcher reported the issue. They said it's in design. And the question here would become, why are they doing this? Of course, when Windows 11 feels much slower than 10, and this kind of goes into like why does it feel so bad? It says really long, just random stuff in there, not even well formatted. But it was just a good article to illustrate. We've seen this over the time that Microsoft Windows has been a lot slower, yet they're loading passwords in the memory in plain text to log into fields faster. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be perfectly honest. But it also highlights a couple underlying assumptions about Microsoft that we ought to be aware of. Number one underlying assumption is they say, hey, if somebody already has compromised access to the system, yeah, they can probably get all this stuff anyway. So your security model is just throw everything in plain text into the memory because, hey, if a hacker is going to make through the trouble to get in here, you may as well give them everything all at once. No, that's ridiculous. B, the reason I say this decrypts all your passwords on startup is because Microsoft has been trying to push Edge to start up on system startup so that if you have Edge and Chrome installed on your computer and you click that Chrome icon, it will take a couple seconds faster, maybe that 3 seconds faster to load up your Chrome versus your Edge because your Edge is preloaded. And because your Edge is preloaded, if it has your passwords, it has already, even though you're not on the internet, it has already decrypted your entire password list and is storing them all in memory in plain text. And they want to be trusted with all of our data and all of our security. The underlying assumption here that Microsoft is doing in this push is to suggest that, hey, once any security breach is done, it just compromises everything. So let's not bother securing things on isolated things. That's kind of like, the bank leaving all the security deposit boxes open, and if somebody gets into the vault, they'll get into the safety deposit boxes, right? But no, you want your box locked. Because if somebody does, like that elevated user gets in there, somebody gets into that bank vault because, maybe they're check out their safety deposit box, if they're all just easily accessible, let's just say, let's just actually take the one next to me. Let's see what this guy has. Ooh, because they're not all locked up. And that's Microsoft's security model. Just one giant vault that's a huge target and everything inside of it is unencrypted. You see, Linux doesn't have such a crazy security model. Things are encrypted and secured inside of there, especially if you're doing your password managers correct, using an offline password manager like KeePass XC or something like that requires access to the machine, and then the database file itself is highly encrypted. And then even when you open that up, it doesn't just automatically give everything access to every single website that comes by. It is a whole lot more secure than that. And this is really a fascinating and really funny thing that Microsoft did that really begs that question. Can we really trust Microsoft with anything? Let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below.